and we're back in the Montello wood just to get out of my studio where I produce other videos and do my Skype teaching. The title of this video, which you are watching, is English Fluency versus Accuracy. Fluency versus accuracy. Now, I think, in my opinion, there are a lot of different opinions, but in my personal opinion, there is a misconception about what fluency in a language actually means. Now, what does fluency mean, or to be fluent? Well, my own interpretation of fluency in a language, and in this case we're talking about English, is that if a person is able to communicate or complete dialogues with another person, and you are delivering, you're communicating this information without blocking, that is, you don't stop trying to think of the right word, the phrase, but you continue to communicate the information you want to give or ask for. This, for me, is fluency. You don't stop. So let's quickly look at that definition, that common definition again for fluency, or to be fluent. The ability to speak a language well. Well, for me, this is obviously a common interpretation, but in reality it is a narrow definition, because the expectation of somebody who describes themselves as a fluent speaker is usually that they will have an advanced level of language production. For me, this is not necessarily the case. So the point is, or my point is, does this successful communication, which is resolving your problems, completing dialogue between you and the other person, again, it could be writing or it could be speaking, is it accurate English with the correct vocabulary, with the correct construction, great grammar, good pronunciation? In my opinion, not necessarily. Many of my students who are all businessmen or just adults who go on holiday or they are traveling for any reason, they are able to go to different countries, native speaking countries like England or America, or non-native speaking countries for work or for pleasure, and they resolve all their problems, complete their business, but their English is not accurate. So here's a fairly simple example of accuracy and fluency. Two people traveling together, it could be two business colleagues traveling to a business meeting, and English will be the language. Two people, two different levels of English. Well, in many cases, in my experience, the person who is more confident and effective in communicating will not necessarily be the person with the best English. That's the point here. They don't stop, they don't block, they just go around, they use the English they can, any grammar always in the present tense, but their English is not accurate. But it's fluent. They are able to arrive where they want to arrive and resolve their situations. So just to compare this to accuracy, that is, to be accurate in English, you will be using all the correct vocabulary, good construction of the sentences or phrases, a good pronunciation, that is an accurate pronunciation, and therefore you are speaking as well really as a native speaker. That is, you're speaking as well as a good native speaker, because as in any language, many native speakers don't always communicate accurately. Native speakers in their own language or their first language will generally speak very fluently because they don't block, unless they find themselves in a situation where they are embarrassed. Not everybody is fluent in their own language, and certainly a lot of us, or most of us, are not completely accurate in our first language. So obviously it's very difficult for anyone to be perfectly fluent and accurate in the second language, which in our case for this series is English. So is it important for the learner, that is you, of English, to understand the difference between fluency and accuracy? Well, it depends on your objectives. Now, if your objective is to pass a Cambridge or TOEFL exam for university, or it could be a future job application which requires a certain level of English, certified by one of these assessment bodies like Cambridge or TOEFL. So if your objective is certification, then at every level there will be a minimum requirement of accuracy in your production, in your listening skills, in your written skills, in your reading comprehension, and obviously in your speaking test, which is all about a combination of fluency, not blocking in front of your examiner, and a good level of accuracy, depending on the level of the test. So for testing, certainly accuracy is more important than just being fluent, because if you use the wrong terms, if you use bad construction, if your grammar is terrible, the examiner will not be very sympathetic and you won't get your required level. It's completely different from being in a survival English situation, trying to communicate with a hotel reception or trying to buy a ticket at a station. Use the English you know. In any grammar, with any construction you can communicate with to resolve your problem, and that's fluency. In Italy, where I teach, adults do tell me they have scholastic English when I ask what their level is. Now at school, the program is generally, the Italian school system, it's generally about grammatical accuracy, and there's not very much testing regarding fluency in speaking. And that's unfortunate, I think, because that's what you need when you're going into the world of English. Your first contact with real people, real situations, it doesn't necessarily matter if you're accurate. But you don't want to block. I have students who say, well, I can pass any exam, I can study the grammar, I can produce a good level of English. So this type of person has no problem in writing, reading, understanding, listening, but they do have usually a block in their speaking production. That is, they're not fluent when they are confronted with a certain situation. If you look at my video on the amygdala factor, that's one reason why people who have all the information stored in their memory, they can't produce it because panic takes over. With this type of problem in communicating in English, I use a different type of technique, a different type of lesson to unblock somebody who has all the correct grammar, they have good construction, they have good comprehension, but in their speaking production they have this block in the fluency. On the other hand, I have business clients whose grammar level of English is pretty low. This type of person has to resolve problems, and they do resolve problems, and it's amazing because their English accuracy is at quite a low level. Senior business people who have not achieved a good level of English, they feel restricted in their language ability to communicate, socializing with their clients or their colleagues in what is always a global business world. So when you do work with a teacher, an English teacher, or you're having lessons, or you're able to do one-to-one sessions with a professional English teacher, you can ask them to specifically work on accuracy or fluency, or both. Set your objectives. Some people will be more fluent, not so accurate. Some people will be very accurate, but not so fluent. Obviously, you can work on improving both of these skills together, or talk to your teacher, or you can go online and look at the resources to improve these two different skills. I hope you enjoyed again this short tutorial, and if you do like the video or you are following some of my other videos, then please subscribe to the channel, and you get all of the sections which will help you find videos which you will be updated when I publish a new video. So goodbye again from my Montello wood classroom, and see you in another video.